gynecologist because I need to make an appointment. I'm on hold. What are you doing? Alright, I made my appointment. I hate when my hair is up. Like, I feel like it makes me look so... So today I just have like a bunch of laundry to do, and I don't even think we're going out to eat dinner. We're gonna probably eat in. So probably not even gonna leave my house. Even though my therapist told me I have to leave my house every day, so maybe we'll go for a walk or something. But yeah, I feel really stupid doing this because everyone else does it when their babies are newborns. But I think that I want to tell you guys my birth story today from when I had Chelsea, because that's kind of... What are you doing? My entire pregnancy I was like so obsessed with watching birth stories. Like, I wanted to know every detail about every birth that ever happened in the history of the world. So I felt like there were not even enough birth stories on YouTube. I wanted to watch a bazillion more. So yeah, that kind of got me started on watching YouTube, and then I started finding like family vloggers, and then I found Rochelle. All of that kind of is what got me inspired to start a YouTube channel. So I feel like I need to put my birth story up. But you know, I actually had my birth story up like in November when I first started vlogging. I had revealed a little bit of personal information. So I took it down, but I am ready to refilm it. And like I said, I feel like Chelsea's a little bit too old to be doing a birth story because most people do it when their babies are newborns. But I definitely want to do it, and like the longer I wait, the older she's gonna get, and she's already 7 months old. So yeah, I'm just gonna get it done today. I am pretty proud of myself. Normally this is pretty small, and she hates it. She hates feeling like she's not free. So I opened it up against the wall, and she is so happy. Of course, it takes up my whole living room, but for now, while we don't have a couch, this works. Hello, I had an outfit change. Oh my gosh, my pants just ripped. Chelsea just had a major meltdown because I wouldn't let her play with my water bottle. So anyway, I got her own sippy cup. She doesn't know how to use it, but should keep her entertained. What was that? I have on my phone, when I was pregnant, I would do this again if I got pregnant again. When I was pregnant, I had a pregnancy journal. Every week I recorded it, or I recorded my symptoms in a pregnancy journal and my thoughts and feelings, and so I also included my birth story after I had her. So I won't be reading it off my phone, but I am going to refer to it to make sure, you know, to check the times and like the numbers, like dilated, because I won't remember that kind of stuff. So my story starts at 38 weeks, and I was, in my doctor's opinion, I was at a risk for preeclampsia because my mom had preeclampsia really bad with her last pregnancy, like to the point where she literally almost died. Like literally almost died. And I also had a lot of swelling and high blood pressure, which is a symptom of preeclampsia. And they started having me come in more than once a week because they were so concerned and they kept wanting to check on me. My mom wanted to be there for my birth. I wanted her to be there for my birth, or for Chelsea's birth, not my birth. So she flew out because my doctor was like, I don't think I remember my doctor saying specifically, you are not making it to your due date. We will induce you before then. My mom flew out at 38 weeks, and right around that same time, my doctor ordered me to not work anymore. She wanted me off my feet. So I quit my job, and immediately things went back to normal. My blood pressure went back to normal. My feet stayed swollen, and my feet stayed swollen until like months after I had Chelsea, but my blood pressure was back to normal. So all of a sudden my doctor's like, no, you don't need to be induced anymore. And I was like, no, like my mom's here. So my mom ended up staying 2 weeks before I gave birth, which was so nice of her. I'm so glad she did, but I feel so bad because like she left children at home and I wasn't even giving birth yet. 39 weeks, my doctor, so this was like still, you know, it was a week after the whole scare of preeclampsia. So my doctor had put me on an induction list at the hospital, and she told me they may call me anytime, you know, like be ready. But they never called me, and I was like so bummed because I was ready, you know, I thought I was gonna be having a baby that day. But they never called me, and then I went to my next doctor appointment like at 39 and a half weeks. My doctor was like, oh yeah, like they didn't see a need to induce you, so they didn't do it. So I was like so frustrated because my poor mom, you know, and at that point you just want the baby out. Like you're so done being pregnant. She put me on another induction list, and this one was elective because there was no medical reason anymore, but she knew like my mom was there and everything. So I was on an elective induction list, and I was the second elective one. So they would go through, starting at midnight, they would start calling all the medical inductions. As they have open beds, they will start calling the elective inductions, and she said it can take days to get called. The day of my induction, I told myself not to get my hopes up because the last time I got my hopes up, I obviously was not induced, and I was very sad about that. Like at 5:30, they did call me, and I was so happy. So I jumped in, I took a quick shower because I knew that I was about to get very dirty and I wanted to shower first. So, okay, now I'm gonna start referring to my thing. It was about 6:30 when we checked into labor and delivery. The first thing they did was give me an IUD. Through the IV, they were gonna give me pitocin. I think they said something else, but I have no idea. I have no recollection. I just know there was pitocin in there. And they said every 30 minutes they would up the pitocin by 2 points. So it starts at 0 and goes to 10 or something like that. Also, they checked my cervix and I was at a 4. I was dilated to a 4. So you know, they set the monitor up on my belly and everything. I didn't have like the internal monitoring, which is good. That always kind of freaked me out because they like put something under the baby's head. I didn't really want that, but I didn't like specify that I didn't want it. I didn't end up needing it. So anyway, they were monitoring my contractions, of course, and they were pretty regular. I just couldn't feel them. So I feel like if I had not been induced, I would have gone into labor right around then, maybe like the next day or something, because my contractions were regular. But I was dilated to a 4, like at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, I started feeling the contractions, and it went from like nothing, like painless, I can't feel them at all, to like bam, excruciating. Like I could not handle the pain. It was so bad. It was worse than I ever would have imagined. You're just not prepared for that kind of pain. I remember throwing up twice. The first time I threw up into a bag, and then the second time they were checking me, my cervix, so I was laying in the bed and I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. So my mom put a bag, you know, by my face like this, but I was like in so much pain that I couldn't like figure out how to get my face over there. Like I just couldn't think straight because of the pain. So I threw up all over my hair and it was just disgusting. So I was like, okay, I was gonna try to labor as long as I could without the epidural. But once I felt that pain, I was like, give me the epidural right as soon as possible. Luckily, I asked for it when I did because the anesthesiologist was on his way to a C-section. If I had not caught him before, I would have had to wait till after the C-section. They made everybody leave the room except one person, who I had Josh be that person, and they raised my bed up so my knees were like at his face, and they tell you that you cannot move during the epidural. So I just, that is like the hardest thing, to not move when you're in that much pain, because I remember shaking. Oh yeah, I don't think it was from my contractions, but just like adrenaline or something, I don't know, they told me it was hormones, of being in labor. Like my whole body was shaking like uncontrollably the entire time. So I was just like holding on to Josh so tight, putting all my energy into him, like all my painful energy, like instead of, is the word writhing? Instead of writhing around like I wanted to, I just like put it into him. So I'm so glad he was there because I couldn't have done it without him. So we got through the epidural. It didn't take long. It didn't hurt. I honestly don't remember the epidural at all. I know I felt it when it was happening, but like I don't remember it. It was not memorable. So this is what I put in my journal. I'm going to read this because this is like true feeling. This is true emotions. Getting the epidural was scary, but not as bad as I thought. It was over quickly. Unfortunately, I was only dilated to a 5. All of that pain, and I had only gone up 1 more centimeter. At 11:40, so an hour and a half after my epidural probably, my water broke, and I had already had the epidural. Okay, so when I got the epidural, I went from excruciating pain to painless again. I truly could not feel anything. I didn't know when I was having contractions. I couldn't feel them. Yeah, it was great. So my water broke and I could not feel it, but Josh and I both heard it. It was like a popping sound, and I was like freaked out. I was like, what was that? And are you okay? What are you doing? So it took us a second to figure out like, oh, that probably was my water breaking. So I had Josh peek under the gown and he's like, there's a lot of blood. And I was like, yeah, it was my water breaking. And then the nurse checked me and I was at an 8. So I went from a 5 to an 8 like in an hour and a half. And then about an hour later, she checked me again and I was at a 10 and I was so excited. I remember her checking me and she's like, let's have a baby. And I was like, what does that mean? Like I'm at a 10? And she's like, yep, you're at a 10. And I was like, yes. So they called the doctor. And she was sleeping, so we had to wait about 30 to 45 minutes for her to get there to start pushing. But they had me do a practice push, and she said that like after the 1 practice push, she said, you're ready to push, we don't need to practice anymore. But truly, like, I could not feel myself pushing because my epidural was so strong. Like, I just kind of clenched everything and hoped that it would be enough, and I guess it was because she said it was good. So about 30, 45 minutes later, she got off the wall on her own. I don't know how she did it. 30 to 45 minutes later, the doctor, oh, also when they were doing the practice push, they could all see her hair. Josh, my mom, the nurse, like everybody could see her hair, and I was just like, oh, that's crazy. That's so crazy. So finally she gets there and she's like, okay, on your next contraction, you're gonna push 3 times. So each contraction, they had me push 3 times, but it only took 1 contraction to have Chelsea. She was born after 3 pushes, and okay, this is where I'm gonna take a little break because I have to figure out what to say. Okay, I'm going to finish this now. So Chelsea was born at 1:30 a.m. and like I said, after 3 pushes, I didn't feel a thing because I was so numb, and her cord was too short to place her on my chest, so she was kind of on my stomach, and I was reaching down to grab her, and then I wanted to do delayed cord clamping, so a few minutes later, Josh cut the cord, and they put her on my chest, and then a few minutes later, I guess, they took her to weigh her and clean her up just a little bit, not like a bath, but just kind of wipe off the blood. And the doctor stitched me up, and she said that I had a 2nd-degree tear from the top to the bottom. Sorry, that's so TMI, but it was a long tear, and it was 2nd degree, which means it was like into the 2nd layer of my skin or whatever. It was like 2 layers deep, and she stitched forever. I remember her stitching for so long. So they brought Chelsea back after weighing her. She was 8 pounds, 7 ounces. She was 20 inches long, and she had tons of black hair. And I remember she had a birthmark here and on her eye, which you can kind of see now still, especially when she's upset. But yeah, and then when they brought her back to me after cleaning her up a little bit, I realized the black stuff that was all over me was not blood, it was poop. The meconium, I think is how you say it, the poop that her first poop was on top of me, and she had continued to poop while they weighed her. So that was fun. It was like black sticky tar. When we were pregnant, we called her Kendall. That was like the name we were gonna do, but we weren't 100% sure that she was gonna be Kendall. We just kind of planned it, so we referred to her as Kendall. When she was born, I remember I asked Josh, what do you think her name should be after seeing her, and he said Chelsea, and I was hoping that he would say Kendall, but I'm glad he picked Chelsea. It was one of my top names. The name is like a whole different story. So she was named Chelsea. Probably like an hour after she was born, we decided that. And I don't know, they give us like an hour of, I think it's called like the golden hour. That's like the sunset. Anyway, they gave us an hour of just us, my family, with Chelsea, no nurses or doctors or anything. And then they came to take us to the recovery room, and I don't remember all the terms. I'm sorry. So I remember holding her in my arms in the wheelchair, and she was crying, screaming. I didn't know how to hold her or anything. I must have looked so awkward trying to figure out how to hold her, but it must have been not been that bad because nobody corrected me. Josh rang a doorbell. They instructed him to, and it played a lullaby throughout the entire hospital. So everyone in the hospital, anyone who was there, not just in the labor delivery area, knew that a baby had been born, and they say that lifts the spirits of, you know, sick people. So that was cool. And then we got to the recovery room, and they taught us how to change her diaper, and they taught me how to, they kind of instructed me on how to breastfeed, and Josh and I were so scared to sleep. I probably got 5 hours total from when we checked in Tuesday night at 6:30 until we left Thursday at 4:45. I probably got 5 hours total. I remember we were so scared to sleep. We would take turns sleeping because we were so scared to both sleep and leave Chelsea alone, like something was gonna happen to her. We did end up both sleeping overnight for a few hours, but we prayed first that she would be okay because we were so worried. So my hospital stay was great. The food was actually delicious. Like, this is a very, very nice hospital. My doctor told me that like celebrities and wealthy people will fly out to our hospital to deliver there because it's such a nice hospital. So food was great. I got 3 meals a day for free, or charged to my insurance. The hardest part was my tear. So after, this is gonna get a little gruesome. After my stitches, I guess there was so much bleeding that the doctor literally shoved a rag up inside me to soak up the blood. Or not a rag. It felt and looked like a rag, but I guess it was just gauze. A bunch of gauze. And then they couldn't find it after that. So I remember in the middle of the night, a nurse finally came in and like found it, and that was miserable. And they make you pee a certain amount before you can leave, and peeing was so painful. Like, you don't want to pee, like you want to hold it. So that was hard to get myself to go potty. So yeah, that was like the most painful part of my hospital stay, and in general my recovery. Okay, this is the part that I don't really know how to talk about, and I have not really talked about it to anybody, and I'm kind of nervous to talk about this on the internet because I truly feel like people will judge me or think I'm a bad mom, and I definitely felt like a bad mom at the time. So I don't know, I hope you can be a little bit understanding. I did have postpartum depression. I feel better now, but I don't know if that's related at all. So I always thought that I would cry when I met Chelsea. I would cry when I was pregnant, and I thought about meeting Chelsea. It would make me, you know, tear up and feel some type of emotion. But when I did meet her, when they placed her on me the first time, I didn't bond with her. And they say there's like an instant connection or an instant bond with your baby, and I didn't have that. And I really felt bad about it. Sorry, I'm gonna try not to cry. I felt like she was a stranger. I didn't feel like she was the baby that I was carrying around for 9 months. Like, I didn't feel like I knew her. I don't know, it took me a little bit to bond with her, and that really makes me feel bad. Like, I truly feel bad about that. And I remember when I was going through it, when I didn't have that bond with her, I felt like she deserves a better mother, because I don't know, like, I felt like something was wrong with me. And okay, I'm not crying. I got through it without crying, I think. And like I said, I haven't really talked to anybody about this. I don't even know if Josh knows that I feel this way, but it was really hard for me. And I definitely think that breastfeeding has helped with that a lot, because that was another problem, right? I think every mom will go through this. The first few weeks of breastfeeding were so hard. I felt like I was doing it wrong, and it was hurting, and I didn't know if she was getting enough, if it was working. So, but once I knew that it was working, and I got all that cuddle time in with her, and I don't know, I 100% feel bonded with her. I feel like she's literally my heart. Like, when I put her to bed at night and I leave her room, I feel like this pain, like I'm leaving my heart in that crib and I'm going in the other room. Like, I need to take it with me. I want my, like, I feel so connected to her. But the first few weeks I didn't, and it was really, really hard. Like, I truly felt no different than if I was taking care of a stranger's baby. So that was very, very hard. And it was hard because my mom cried and Josh cried, and they would hold her. They would hold her in their arms and cry, and I would hold her in my arms, and I didn't feel that. And sorry, I don't know, like, I didn't feel like I personally turned into a mom right when she was born. I feel like it took a few weeks for me to turn into a mom and to change who I am as Chelsea's mother. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but I just wanted to talk about that. Maybe there's somebody out there that can relate, hopefully, because I do feel guilty. But I love this little girl so much. She is just the best thing, the best part of my life, and I would not be the same without you. Huh? Mama loves you so much. Mama loves you. Glad that I did bond with her eventually. We figured it out. Huh? Okay, sorry that got so emotional and stupid. You don't want it? Alright, that's it for this video. Sorry I'm not doing a vlog. Like I said, I just have to do lots of laundry and stuff today. It's not very fun to watch. So I will talk to you guys next time. Say bye-bye.